coffee there. Where's the candle? Oh, no, that's the pots. Sunday school. Yeah, we do more than just, be mixy. Oh, this coffee tastes so good. As I wait, perhaps everybody went to church on Sunday, on the love on the church on Sunday. Well, you are cooking and busy, watching other stuff. I'm not cooking today. I got to study. What's this over here? Oh. God, my head itch me. It's itching. Oh yeah, we're doing Sunday school today. No more mixiness today. We're gonna be good, nice individuals. But I gotta, you know what? Let me, why I don't see the candle? I'm gonna put the candle, let me see. You can't even see it. I don't see it there, but you can't see it. Oh, okay. Everybody going to church? Oh, something must be going on that I don't know about. But you know what? Today's Sunday. So I'll just begin rather than just keep waiting and waiting. Morning, everyone. Morning. Is it morning? Afternoon? I don't even know what time it is. What time is it? Well, whatever it is, I hope you guys are having a wonderful Sunday. Who's going to church? Go to church and doing a thing is all right. We gonna have church over here. Yeah, we are. So other than being mixy all the time, I like to read my Bible and stuff. Oh, yes, I do. I was reading Job, right? Because, my brother died and so forth. So I'm just, I was just reading stuff. So what I usually do is I read my Bible, the Hebrew Bible, right? It's the Hebrew. It's old, I know. It's a Hebrew Bible. Yeah, we're not being messy today, guys. Come on, let's do this. Every time we start trying to read Bible and do things on the log off, it's not right. Okay, and I'm going to do something very interesting. But I don't want to hear that. I know, that's okay. But I'm going to read, but I'm going to discuss something because not everybody knows, right? And you hear a lot of people say that they've read Job. Yeah, man, me read Job, man. Yeah, man, me read it, man. Yeah, me read Job. Yes, he really got through some things. What did he go through? What did Job go through? Anybody know what he went through? Anybody know what Job is about? Okay. So when you read, right, the story of Job, it has 42 chapters. Good? Right, 42 chapters. And he's going through some turmoil, right? And he believes that the Creator is not, fulfilling his needs to the point of despair. So during all of this turmoil, he gets his answers, And while you're reading Job, right? And you're even though one say that man wrote the Bible, when you read an allegories, and when you see the symbolics of something that you read carefully, you get to clearly relate it to the Creator and to know that He exists. Okay. While I was reading Job, I was reading chapters 30 onwards. I was just scrolling through just to, read stuff because I was on my other page on Facebook. And I read up to chapter 41. Now, chapter 41, Job, is dealing with Leviathan. Has anyone heard of Leviathan? Leviathan. I'll wait. Of course, you've seen the movies Leviathan. You've seen, you've heard of Leviathan. So in the Hebrew Bible, they say that, possibly Leviathan is a crocodile, a big crocodile, right? A big crocodile. So now we know what a crocodile is, and we know what a crocodile does. So while reading Job, and you're getting the response, right, from the Almighty. Now don't forget, these are allegories, and they use symbolism. So when you get the symbolic meaning, you kind of get, to relate more to the Creator. Good. Now, when you read Job 41, this is what you get. Can you pull in the Leviathan, which is the crocodile, with a fish hook? Or tie down his tongue with a rope? Can you put a cord through his nose? Or pierce his jaw with a hook? Will he keep begging you for mercy? Will he speak to you with gentle words? Will he make an agreement with you for you to take him as your slave for life? Can you make a pet of him like a bird, or pull him on a leash for your girls? Will traders barter for him? Will they divide him up among the merchants? Can you fill his hide with harpoons, or his head with fishing spears? If you lay a hand on him, you will remember the struggle and never do it again. Any hope of subduing him is false. The mere sight of him is overpowering. No one is fierce enough to rouse him. Who then is able to stand against me? Who has claim against me that I must pay? Everything under heaven belongs to me. I will not fail to speak of his limbs, his strength and his graceful form, who can strip off his outer coat. Who would approach him with a bridle? Who dares open the doors of his mouth? Ringed about with his fearsome teeth, his back has rows of shields, tightly sealed together. Each is so close to the next that no air can pass between. They are joined fast to one another. They cling together and cannot be parted. His snorting throws out flashes of light. His eyes are like the rays of dawn. Fire brands stream from his mouth. Sparks of fire shoot out. Smoke pours from his nostrils as from a boiling pot over a fire of reeds. His breath sets coals ablaze and flames dart from his mouth. Strength resides in his neck. Dismay goes before him. The folds of his flesh are tightly joined. They are firm and immovable. His chest is hard as rock, hard as a lower millstone. When he rises up, the mighty are terrified. They retreat before his trashing. The sword that reaches him has no effect, nor does the spear or the dart or the javelin. Iron he treats like straw, and bronze like rotten wood. Arrows do not make him flee. Sling stones are like chaff to him. A club seems to him but a piece of straw. He laughs at the rattling of the lance. His undersides are jagged potsherds, leaving a trail in the mud like a threshing sledge. He makes the depths churn like a boiling cauldron and stirs up the sea like a pot of ointment. Behind him he leaves a glistening wake, and would think the deep had white hair. Nothing on earth is his equal, a creature without fear. He looks down on all that are haughty. He is king over all that are proud. Look at the behemoth, which could either be an elephant or a hippopotamus. Look at the behemoth, which I made along with you, and which feeds on grass like an ox. What strength he has in his loins, what power in the muscles of his belly. His tail sways like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are close knit. His bones are tubes of bronze. His limbs like rods of iron. He ranks first among the works of the Almighty. Yet his maker can approach him with his sword, his mouth. This is Job. Now, the Lord speaks. Now, after he's listening to Job over and over again with his lamentations and so forth, through a storm, he hears his voice, or he gets to realize who is the Creator. Who is this that darkens my counsel with words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man, I will question you, and you shall answer me. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you overstand. Who marked off its dimensions? Surely you know. Who stretched the measuring line across it? Or what were its footings set? Or who laid its cornerstone? While the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy? Who shut up the sea behind doors when it burst forth from the womb? When I made the clouds its garment and wrapped it in thick darkness, when I fixed limits for it and set its doors and bars in place, when I said, this far you may come and no farther. Here is where your proud waves halt. Have you ever given orders to the morning, or shown the dawn its place, that it might take the earth by the edges and shake the wicked out of it? The earth takes shape like clay under a seal. Its feature stands out like those of a garment. The wicked are denied their light, and their upraised arm is broken. Have you journeyed to the springs of the sea, or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been shown to you? Have you seen the gates of the shadow of death? Have you comprehended the vast expanses of the earth? Tell me if you know all this. What is the way to the abode of light? And where does darkness reside? Can you take them to their places? Do you know the paths to their dwellings? Surely you know, for you were already born. You have lived so many years. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow, or seen the storehouses of the hail, which I reserve for times of trouble, for days of war and battle? What is the way to the place where the lightning is dispersed, or the place where the east winds are scattered over the earth? Who cuts a channel for the torrents of rain, and a path for the thunderstorm, to water a land where no man lives, a desert with no one in it, to satisfy a desolate wasteland and make it sprout with grass? Does the rain have a father, who fathers the drops of dew, from whose womb comes the ice, who gives birth to the frost from the heavens, when the waters become hard as stone, when the surface of the deep is frozen? Can you bind the beautiful Pleiades? Can you loose the cords of Orion? Can you bring forth the constellations in their seasons? Or lead out the bear with its cubs? Do you know the laws of the heavens? Can you set up the Almighty's dominion over the earth? Can you raise your voice to the clouds and cover yourself with a flood of water? Do you send the lightning bolts on their way? Do they report to you? Here we are, who endowed the heart with wisdom or gave overstanding to the mind. Who has the wisdom to count the clouds? Who can tip over the water jars of the heavens when the dust becomes hard and the clouds of earth stick together? Do you hunt the prey for the lioness and satisfy the hunger of the lions when they crouch in their dens or lie in wait in a thicket? Who provides food for the raven when its young cry out to the Almighty and wander about for lack of food? And that's Job, when you read Job. So in response, do you know when the mountain goats give birth? Do you watch when the doe bear bears her fawn? Do you count the months till they bear? Do you know the time they gave birth? They crouch down and bring forth their young. Their labor pains are ended. The young thrive and grow strong in the wilds. They leave and do not return. Who let the wild donkey go free? Who untied the ropes? I gave him the wasteland as his home. Who let the wild donkey go free? Who untied his ropes? I gave him the wasteland as his home, the salt flats as his habitat. He laughs at the commotion in the town. He does not hear a driver's shout. He ranges the hills for his pasture and searches for any green thing. Will the wild ox consent to serve you? Will he stay by your manger at night? Can you hold him to the furrow with a harness? Will he tie the valleys behind you? Will you rely on him for his great strength? Will you leave your heavy work to him? Can you trust him to bring in your grain and gather it to your threshing floor? The wings of the ostrich flop joyfully, but they cannot compare with the pinions and feathers of the stork. She lay her eggs on the ground and lets them warm in the sand, unmindful that a foot may crush them, that some wild animal may trample them. She treats her young harshly, as if they were not hers. She cares not that her labor was in vain. For God did not endow her with wisdom or give her a share of good sense. Yet, when she spreads her feathers to run, she laughs at horse and rider. Do you give the horse his strength or clothe his neck with a flowing mane? Do you make him leap like a locust, striking terror with his proud snorting? He paws fiercely, rejoicing in his strength, and charges into the fray. He laughs at fear, afraid of nothing. He does not shy away from the sword. The quiver rattles against his side, along with the flashing spear and lance. In frenzied excitement, he eats up the ground. He cannot stand still when the trumpet sounds. At the blast of the trumpet, he snorts. Aha! He catches the scent of battle from afar, the shout of commanders and the battle cry. Does the hawk take flight by your wisdom and spread his wings toward the south? Does the eagle soar at your command and build his nest on high? He dwells on a cliff and stays there at night. A rocky crag is his stronghold. From there, he seeks out his food. His eyes detect it from afar. His young ones feast on blood. And where the slain are, there is he. The Lord said to Job, will the one who contends with the Almighty correct him? Let him who accuses the Almighty answer him. Then Job answered the Lord, I am unworthy. How can I reply to you? I put my hand over my mouth. I spoke once, but I have no answer. Twice, but I will say no more. Then the Lord spoke to Job out of the storm. Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Would you discredit my justice? Would you condemn me to justify yourself? Do you have an arm like God's? And can you voice thunder like his? Then adorn yourself with glory and splendor, and clothe yourself in honor and majesty. Unleash the fury of your wrath. Look at every proud man and bring him low. Look at every proud man and humble him. Crush the wicked where they stand. Bury them all in the dust together. shroud their faces in the grave. Then I myself will admit to you that your own right hand can save you. Look at the behemoth, which is the elephant or the hippopotamus. You can pick one. I say the elephant. Look at the behemoth, which I made along with you, and which feeds on grass like an ox. What strength he has in his loins, what power in the muscles of his belly. His tail sways like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are close knit. His bones are tubes of bronze, his limbs like rods of iron. He ranks first among the works of the Creator. That's why I say the elephant, because he's been around forever. Yet his maker can approach him with his sword. The hills bring him their produce, and all the wild animals play nearby. Under the lotus plant he lies, this is the crocodile, hidden among the reeds in the marsh. The lotuses conceal him in their shadow. The poplars by the stream surround him. When the river rages, he is not alarmed. He is secure through the Jordan. Should surge against his mouth. Can anyone capture him by the eyes, or trap him and pierce his nose? So, with allegory and symbolism, right? The Father is able to use his creations so that we can explore who he is. Because when he describes Leviathan, which is a form of a crocodile, and the way that the crocodile is actually described, the Creator can respond and say, after you've gotten this description of how terrible the crocodile is, and what will happen if you try to approach the crocodile, and if you think that you can subdue him, any hope of subduing him is false. The mere sight of him is overpowering. No one is fierce enough to rouse him. Who then is able to stand against me? So you see the comparison of the crocodile, how the Creator can give a description of the crocodile, Leviathan, and ask you, can you pull in the Leviathan, the crocodile? You just think of Leviathan as a big crocodile. Can you pull in the Leviathan with a fish hook? Can you? Can you? Can you do that to a crocodile? Okay. Or tie down his tongue with a rope? Can you? Can you put a cord through his nose? Or pierce his jaw with a hook? Can you? Will he keep begging you for mercy? Will he speak to you with gentle words? A crocodile. Will he make an agreement with you for you to take him as your slave for life? Will he? A crocodile? Okay. Can you make a pet of him like a bird and put him on the leash for your girls? Can you? Will traders barter for him? Will they divide him up among the merchants? Can you fill his hide with harpoons or his head with fishing spears? Can you? If you lay a hand on him, you will remember the struggle and never do it again. Any hope of subduing him is false. The mere sight of him is overpowering. No one is fierce enough to rouse him. Who then is able to stand against me, the Creator? Who has claim against me that I must pay? Everything under heaven belongs to me. And that's what the Creator said. So if you get the description of this crocodile, the Leviathan, because this is symbolic as much as it's allegory, but it is symbolic. And you think of the crocodile and everything I just read, right, Yaso? Is it not true? Because for you forget a crocodile, you have a really good, you have a Lord. And in the Bible, it can clearly describe Leviathan. Because they make movies about Leviathan, but it's not about to educate you about what is Leviathan. Leviathan is the sea creature that he met. And it's possibly the crocodile. And you can get a description of the crocodile. And then him say, the Creator, I mean, people like to say how you know he's saying all of this, but according to the Bible, if this is how the crocodile is, who is you, Joe? Who anybody? Who is any one of Unu that can stand up against me? And me is not a crocodile, but I'm like one. That descriptive is just like Owen said, which means if you lay a hand on him, you will remember the struggle and you will never do it again. So you keep playing with the Father. Keep playing with the Father. And keep thinking that you can subdue him. Because any hope of subduing him is false. No one is fierce enough to calm him down, as in the crocodile. So who is you to think, say, you can stand against him? You have a claim against him that he must pay to you? Everything under the heavens only belongs to him. So, when you can make the crocodile a pet, and you can put a leash on him and give it to your pitney them, and you can do all these wonderful things to him, then you good, you got the power. But according to my Father in Zion, you're not a none. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Tell me if you understand. Who marked off its dimensions? Surely you know. Who stretched the measuring line across it? Or what were its footings set? Or who laid its cornerstone? While the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy? Who shut up the sea behind doors when it burst forth the womb? When I made the clouds its garment and wrapped it in thick darkness? When I fixed limits for it and set its doors and bars in place? When I said, this for you may come and no farther. Here is where your proud waves halt. Have you ever given orders to the morning? Have you ever given orders to the morning? Have you ever shown the dawn its place? Have you ever shown the dawn where to go? That it might take the earth by the edges and shake the wicked out of it? You ever do that? The earth takes shape like clay under a seal. Its features stand out like those of a garment. The wicked are denied their light, and their upraised arm is broken. Have you journeyed to the springs of the sea? Or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have you? Have the gates of death been shown to you? Have you seen the gates of the shadow of death? Have you? Have you comprehended the vast expanses of the earth? Tell me if you know all this. Job 38. What is the way to the abode of light? I need to know. Tell me if you know. And where does darkness reside? Other than with you. But anyway. And where does darkness reside? Can you tell us? On Naman Rasta for Life, National Board of Comments. We're reading Job 38. Can you take them to their places? Can you? Do you know the paths to their dwellings? Do you? Surely you know, for you were already born. You have lived so many years, haven't you? Have you entered the storehouses of the snow? Or seen the storehouses of the hail? Have you? Which I reserve for times of trouble, for days of war and battle. What is the way to the place where the lightning is dispersed. Do you know? Do you know? The Father wants to know if you know. What is the way to the place where the lightning is dispersed? Or the place where the east winds are scattered over the earth? Do you know? The Father wants to know if you know. Who cuts a channel for the torrents of rain? Do you know? And a path for the thunderstorm. We want to know if you know. To water a land where no man lives. A desert with no one in it. To satisfy a desolate wasteland and make it sprout with grass. Does the rain have a father? We need to know. Give us the answer. Do you know? Does the rain have a father? Job 38. We need to know if you know. Who fathers the drops of dew? Do you know? From whose womb comes the ice? Who gives birth to the frost from the heavens? When the waters become hard as stone, when the surface of the deep is frozen, can you bind the beautiful Pleiades? Can you loose the cords of Orion? Can you bring forth the constellations in the seasons? Or lead out the bear with its cubs? Do you know the laws of the heavens? Can you set up the Creator's dominion over the earth? Can you raise your voice to the clouds and cover yourself with a flood of water? Do you send the lightning bolts on their way? Do they report to you? Here we are. Who endowed the heart with wisdom, or gave overstanding to the mind? Who has the wisdom to count the clouds? Who can tip over the water jars of the heavens? When the dust becomes hard and the clods of earth stick together. Do you hunt the prey for the lioness? Do you? And satisfy the hunger of the lions when they crouch in their dens or lie in wait in the thicket? Who provides food for the raven when its young cry out to the Almighty and wander about for lack of food? Job 38. Very powerful, very powerful. And again, an allegory, a visual reading of nature and the elements. And you say, who and can you? So you can't do it, so who's doing it? We can't do it, so who's doing it? Where does darkness reside? Do we know? And yet, when you read the wings of an ostrich and the stork, she lays her eggs in the ground, but she cannot fly. But when she spreads her feathers to run, she laughs at horse and rider. Isn't that beautiful? And it's true. They can't run. No, sir. It's just beautiful. And will the wild ox consent to serve you? This is where this is great. Listen. Will he stay by your manger at night? Wow. Wow. Where have we seen this? Whose manger have we seen this at? Just, that's heavy. Look at Christ in the manger. What do you see around him? And Job is before Christ. Hi, Gerald. Gerald, if you start, if you, Lord, I'm warning you. Good. Nice to see you, Gerald. I was thinking about you in Belgium. So now, so when one keeps saying about how you know the Bible's true and this, that, and how you know when God said and do. Okay, fair. Allegorically and symbolically, if you read your Bible clearly, slowly, and on a continuous basis, you get to see the little tidbits that's given. And that right there is a little tidbit. Because right there. Um, can you? What can? She treats what? Really? Yeah. When you see, because this is all about if we have the power, right? Mankind, if we have this power, right? And describing if we have this power, we see that we don't have that power. It's being described. So if you have all of these attributes pertaining to the creator, then you must be the creator. Now, what is it very important and very symbolic? In Job 39, Job chapter 39, verses 9. It is so unbelievably powerful that it is unbelievable. Because it's actually showing you that God is real. Because the only thing I can attribute being in a manger at night was Christ. And with that, it means, will the wild ox consent to serve you? Okay. Will he stay by your manger at night? And that's the Old Testament. That's the Old Testament. That's not even in the New Testament. That's the Old Testament. So it's like I said, the Bible is very powerful. Don't listen to what people say. Don't listen to them with their nonsense. Good? Because you can't pick the sense out of the nonsense. And right here is the sense. Because who is we? We can't ask ox, I need you to go over here and watch out for the Christos because he's laying in his manger. You guys need to come over here by this manger, and I need you all to sit around it and be nice. Do we have this power? We might have to pull and tug somebody with a leash or something. Come here and pull them. Come, let's go. The Christ is being born. We gotta come. Nobody had to do that. No one. Every picture you see, every depiction, everything you see, that's what you see. The animal them around, the barn, the cave really, it's a cave, but they like to change up stuff. So in the cave, you see the whole thing. Sheep, goat, everything. I shouldn't have. But it just lets you see when you read the Bible and when you read stuff like that. As in, do you have that power? Do you have the power to make the ox stand by your manger at night? Your manger means whatever, but I'm taking it like the same way, but moving over now to the birth of Christ. Who consented for that to be? Because like they said, even the animals knew that something was going on. That's God. That's God. But that's at his command. And they have to listen to him, not we. It's wonderful. So so I was just reading Job. You should read Job. It's more than just saying you've read Job and what he went through, or wherever, because most of y'all haven't read Job. But it's basically about us where it's like we have a grievance with the Almighty, and He's got to let us know you need to calm down. Because if you could do all of these things here, then we can have a conversation. But you ain't gonna make me feel guilty when I'm the one who does all of this. So if anything, you should be coming to me more than you're complaining and carrying on. Come to me, because you can't make an ox do nothing. You can't even make an ox sit down at night next to a manger, and me can do that. So what's your problem and what's your issues? Come to me and let's have a conversation. Isn't that beautiful? So when he realizes what's up, by all of the symbolisms, the crocodile, the behemoth, which is the elephants, the locusts, the oxes, the lions, all of the wonderful animal kingdom. Okay, Gerald. Yeah. When you get to um, read that and you get to visualize what it actually means, Job realizes it. I know that you can do all things. No plan of yours can be thwarted. You asked, who is this that obscures my counsel and without knowledge? Surely I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know. You said, listen now, and I will speak. I will question you, and you shall answer me. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Therefore, I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes. So, here in America, even with the, I think it was, I think it was the tornado in Mississippi. And if you go into the history of Mississippi, they have a black mayor. It's good. But it looks like the whole of, I don't know, that there's an area. It looks like it's been completely destroyed. And then I get to hear, um, like it's like a low income area, which means now they have to rebuild that whole area because the people living there are now displaced. So just go and read up on Mississippi, the history of Mississippi. In the 60s and 50s and so forth. Mhm. And remember with Job, there were two more people involved. Elihu, next one. Elihu and what's the next friend name? Elihu, yeah. Elihu. Yeah, there were three friends, yeah. I think it was Barakel and Buzite, yeah. So you should read Job. It's very engaging. But I'm glad that I read that part because I just wanted you to see that with allegory and symbolism, you can get a clearer picture of who the Creator is and what he represents. And it's not about actually reading about the turmoil of Job, but the power of the Creator. And for us to recognize that he has the power. Thank you for watching. On I'm a Rasta for Life, the National Board of Contents. We was reading Job 38, 39, and 41, 42. But you can read Job and just love it. You know what, Burkle? I'm going to block you. You see what I'm saying? Why are you mentioning Cash App over here? You're going to get a block, right? Who tell you about Listen, yeah.